it's very easy for poverty and homelessness to become invisible issues, or for people to say, that's not my problem.
Do you think there's enough being done about poverty in Orillia?
Not even close.
There's a lot, though, I have to say. Orillia is amazing with all the places that the people have to go, with the Salvation Army, the churches, Sharing Place Lighthouse, ourselves. There are a lot of places that are wanting to help the community, but I think we need to do much, much more, because, but by the grace of God, there go I. It could happen to us. It could happen to the mayor. He could lose everything. And then where would he be?
It's hard to put poverty into one word. A lot of people misunderstand what poverty is. You know, they see things on television, they look at movies, and you know, they're thinking the worst case scenario where, you know, they're pushing a shopping cart, living under bridges, and that's what they think. But that's not true.
Or drug addicts or alcoholics or bombers were no good to society.
I think one of the number one misconception is that that people who are poor bring it on themselves. And I think there's also a feeling that among people who are not suffering from low income, that many people on low income are different from themselves.
That people bring it on themselves, and I think that's very untrue very often. I suppose that one of the things that takes people down the road of poverty often is illness, physical illness, where they have not been able to maintain a job and consequently lose their house, lose their car, lose what they've maybe even saved.
I think a lot of people think it's their choice. They made their bed, they can lie in it, and that's definitely not the case.
I've done it. I've labeled people. I said, well, you know what, they go get a job. You know, well, there's people here that can't work. Like myself, I'd love to have a job. But we paid in that all these years. I paid my taxes. I paid, you know, income tax all along. But, you know, you're stereotyped. Like, you know, once a bum, always a bum. Well, that's not the way it is here. You're classed as a person.
Anybody who lives in a reasonably small community like this one has to see the poverty.
Orillia has the second, had in 2006, and I presume still does, the second lowest median income level in the county. There are more people on the waiting list for social housing than there are social housing units, and the wait list can be anywhere from 6 years up to over 10, 12, 16 years.
Everybody's affected by poverty one way or the other, because those of us in the nonprofit community are not going to let them forget that there is poverty and that they have a responsibility.
It affects them if they want it to affect them, but unfortunately, so many people try not to see that it's there. People spend a lot of time and trouble trying to say that that isn't an issue.
The full group of 6 different community churches with the focus of pulling together a house for women leaving vulnerable places.
Okay.
Started by a church 21 years ago. It started as a youth center, but in 1998 we separated from the church and became an identity on our own. We started our own ministry. We started supporting ourselves, started looking for finances on our own. My wife asked me to come in and help out. I first said no, I didn't want to come here and have anything to do with those Bible thumpers, I think is how I put it. But I was only here a few days and realized that this is where I wanted to be.
The Salvation Army is an international evangelical part of the Christian Church.
The Sharing Place Food Bank was established in 1988 by some people who recognized that there was fairly desperate poverty in this community. They assumed that eventually the need would peter out. On the contrary, that has not been the case. More and more people have had to come to the Sharing Place Food Bank to make use of our services.
I had a vision from the Lord, and I could see people eating, just coming in like for lunch, just a place to sit and have games and just a safe place for them to come to.
I came up here to Orillia almost 2 years ago. I left a very abusive home with my son, and we pretty much were homeless. We lived in the car for 2 weeks. Because of his age, a shelter wouldn't take us. They wanted to separate us. And so we agreed just to go to a motel when we could afford it, and pretty much stay in the car for almost 2 weeks till we found some sort of housing and got social assistance.
When I came in here, these guys took me in as family right away. They accepted me for who I was and what I was, and they've been helping me ever since with food and love and just being there to listen and stuff like that. So if it wasn't for this place, unfortunately, I'd probably still be using drugs and being in the street somewhere.
Our mandate is to identify gaps in the community in terms of social services, in terms of housing, and to raise awareness within the community about these gaps.
Our goal is just to meet with them without judgment, and just to build them up, to give them some really practical support so that they can get on their feet and move forward, and create some new patterns and healthy relationships in their lives so that they leave some of the old issues behind.
The goal really is to demonstrate the love of Christ. Okay. And in order to do that, we are able to help with some instrumental needs. But as a church, our message really is to reach out to deal with spiritual needs of people.
Well, our goal is very simple. It's to feed the needy, to house the homeless, and to make sure we share the good news of our good Lord.
There's a safe place that they can come to, that there's no judgment, and it's just a place where we respect who they are, they respect who we are, and it's just a family place where they can feel like this is their home.
So what are the demographics of most of your clients or recipients?
Well, many of them are single people, sometimes a number of men that are anywhere from their 20s right up to the 60s. We have some elderly women who really don't receive very much on a pension. We do have families for certain, often single parents with children that probably take up another third or quarter of the group that we see.
Okay. So would you say that maybe families are the most like prominent?
Not necessarily, no. We probably in any day see more single people than we would families.
Oh, wow.
Their background could well be middle class or even upper class, whatever that is. But now find themselves in this weird situation, condition, where all of a sudden they're out of work, out of money, and need help.
Our soup kitchen and drop-in center is open to anyone. There's no age of any sort. You can come in here as a baby to seniors. You know, right now, for example, I have a guy that's 81 staying in my shelter right now. You know, we have a newborn baby that was born 2 days ago that I'm working with mom and dad with coming in. And it's open to anyone. There are some people that may use our services just because they're lonely and need to talk to somebody. Then you got those that may not be homeless, but just don't have enough money to feed themselves every month. Or those that maybe just don't have enough money to put a pair of gloves on their hand for the winter or a pair of boots. I mean, I've had doctors come in and stay in our shelter. School teachers stay in our shelter.
Babies all the way up. We have families come in here, children come in here. Seniors come in here. People in wheelchairs come in here.
Natives,
Yeah.
a lot of native people come in. We've even had them here helping. We have students from the Georgian College come and do their courses here. Well, in fact, we've always got one here.
Really?
So yeah, it's just anybody, everybody is welcome. A lot of them have had good jobs and they've been injured. They can't go back to work. And then the money that they do get, it runs out. And the money they get from wherever they're getting it is not enough to live on. They can pay their rent, but they can't buy food.
So all women, of course. The youngest is 16 years of age. At this point, our oldest resident was 58, and all coming from different walks of life.
So you never know when you're going to run into somebody on the street, pass somebody by, meet somebody behind the counter that's having a rough time.
I love the work that Jubilee House does in terms of working with families and building them up, working on some of those really practical things in terms of housing and budgeting and learning how to cook nutritious meals within a budget and learning parenting skills and getting women back into education and employment, all of those things that really lead towards success in their lives. So I think that was what kind of drew me to the organization in terms of really pouring into women's lives and into their children so that they had more hope for their future.
Provide people with many of their basic needs, things such as food or water, in some countries of the world with education and medical assistance and so on. And so it's had a great impact on many, many people.
Unfortunately, our benefits are short-term in the sense that what we do is provide food.
We have many programs that we do to work with our clients to help change their circumstances. We call it the Extended Stay Program. And what it is they stay here a longer time to allow us to put more things into place to help. For example, if they have mental health issues, to allow them to be accessed, and to work with the landlords to make sure the landlord understand that they may be on a government type of income. How to, shop better, how to budget. But we try to put things in the bed to make their circumstances a little better, a little easier.
They know they can rely on us to come in here and have a good home-cooked meal.
We're not an answer to poverty here at all. What we do is provide an emergency response for the needy on that second. And what we're able to do is, once again, provide a hot meal and a warm bed to sleep in. That's what we're able to do here.
There are a lot of people who, while they would qualify for food bank use, don't take advantage of it.
We have a Narcotics Anonymous. One of the fellows that comes in here and volunteers has turned his life over to the Lord. He now heads up the NA on a Friday night.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of things going on.
What situation would your recipients be if you were to close tomorrow?
That would be devastating.
Yeah.
Probably more devastating for us because we would be losing friends.
Yeah.
I would not even want to contemplate what would happen in this community if the sharing place were to close. I really wouldn't. I think you would see a lot of panhandling on the street. You might even see an uptick in the amount of violent crime in the community. I think let's not even think about that anymore.
So do you know of people abusing the services?
There are people that will come in just for the sake of eating and going out, but most of the people are here. A lot of them have mental issues, again, poverty, and a lot of them they don't have a place to go.
It's great that so many benefit from it. There's always going to be a small handful of people that abuse.
We hope that their experience is a positive experience, that the people that they meet here are helpful to them and that they feel better for having been here. That won't happen with everybody because, their issues are great, and no matter what kindness they are shown or what's happening, it's just too difficult for them to feel much better.
Mm-hmm. I had a particular situation where the person that was really abusive to me and my son found me And I called the police, and I found out through them that the restraining order expires after a year, and it had expired. So we reapplied for another restraining order, and this is how I found out the police would have put me up rather than me being homeless with a child in a car. And I thought, wow, I had no clue the police would do that. Like, it's totally eye-opening until you're in the situation. I'd say in the last 2 years I've used it about 8 times, so it's definitely a good resource. I know it's there if I need it.
It's very peaceful and very loving, and most people, I would say 99% of them that come in here, go out feeling happy, respected, safe, not judged, because they have to, or they wouldn't keep coming back and wanting to stay. It's good times, it's sad times, it's crying, it's praying, it's whoever walks in the door, you just kind of, I don't know, it just feels so good to, I would live here if I could.
There's such change in these women just because people believe in them.
It's just a place where you feel happy, you feel good to be
Well, you
here.
feel wanted. Here, it's true, honest, sincere feelings.
You don't feel rushed here.
You don't feel rushed, you don't feel pressured, you just be yourself. That's all that, and if you can volunteer a little bit of time, well, that's all they ask for.
There was a gentleman that came through the door. The truth is, the moment he walked through the door, I didn't think he was going to live through that day. He was in such rough shape with the abuse of drugs, abuse of alcohol, just so unhealthy. After a few years of working with him, getting him into the program, I mean, that guy now comes here and volunteers on a regular basis. I mean, his life is so together, you can't tell he's the same person. We can't always help every person that comes in the door. All we can do is try our best.
We don't put it in the paper, we don't broadcast it, it's just word of mouth.
Yeah.
And people receive that better. I think you get a better response that way.
Salvation Army being such a broad and well-known organization, most people know that if they need some sort of help, that's one of the places that they can go. So we don't have to advertise a whole lot in that sense. However, social service agencies, various workers, health professionals in a community and so on are aware of us and what we can often do, so they are often the people that might suggest to someone to come in and see us.
Okay.
Pretty much word of mouth. We do our best to get the word out through the media, and certainly social service agencies know about our services, and they alert people who need to be alerted.
There's no postings to say, okay, you can go here for help, you can go there for help. You actually have to start digging, you know what I mean, and start asking a whole bunch of people questions and stuff like that. And I find it's counterproductive.
I didn't know about the food bank. Someone actually referred me, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know it. I mean, being my age, never being unemployed and never not having a place to live, it was really eye-opening. It was like, wow, there's actually resources out there for people like me that have never had to deal with.
Our governmental organization of social services is pathetic, and I don't speak only of Orillia. I speak for the whole of Ontario, the whole of Canada. Come on, here we are, this wealthy society that allows the people at the very bottom of the heap to stay at the very bottom of the heap, and the amount of energy that's expended on helping them get up and find work and lead better, healthier lives is pathetically small.
To see if the same housing issues from 13 years ago are the same ones we're dealing with today. We need to have more affordable housing, you know, for people to live in. As simple as that. Whether it's government type of housing, geared to income housing, or whether it's, you know, where they can go into different apartments and just get top-ups or extra money to help with that. But something needs to be put into place, and soon.
Certainly not enough is being done. I preface that by saying that there is a housing crisis in Canada.
Our society deserves to be ashamed. That's what's shameful, that poverty of the kind that we see here on a daily basis. I think that's shameful. A society should not permit it.
We need more people helping and more people aware of what's going on, and that these people need to be loved. They're not all there by choice. They need somebody to help them up.
Encourage them.
And encourage them, yeah.
I don't think enough is being done in Canada, let alone Orillia. I think the needs in Orillia are great. And so a small community, there's only so much they can really do. However, I think there's many opportunities to help people that are in need.
I choose to remain positive, but I know there are tremendous obstacles as well.
I don't have money, I don't have a lot of money, but I can give time.
When people get to see it and understand it and recognize that there are tangible things that can be done, then they are more likely to come on side.
One night to be confused, one night to speed up truth. We had a promise made, 4 hands and then away. Both under influence, we had divine sense.